Let us return to dear old Abominable Manor, where last time Boris Badenov made a startling discovery.
You mean I don't got to kill Moose?
Of course not. We'll still get the £1,000,000 note if we can take a picture of him outside the house.
Yes, according to the will, he must not leave Abominable Manor for 1 week.
The week was almost up, but so was Bullwinkle's dander.
I tell you, Rock, if I don't get some air, I'll go stale.
Better not, Bullwinkle.
With that, Rocky left to take a nap. That's when Boris came in.
Boy, oh boy, his last quarter with only 2 seconds left to play, and we behind 6 points.
Never fear, Canute. I shall score us a touchdown.
Good, Moose. Here, take Pigskin and go over goal line.
But the goal line Boris referred to was outside Abominable Manor, where Natasha waited with a camera.
I take picture of moose suitable for framing, and job is done.
Bullwinkle set sail for the open door, and it looked like the end, but only of our last episode, for the commotion downstairs had arrested the attention of our staunch hero.
Stop, Bullwinkle, you're heading for the door.
But the game had to be won, and Bullwinkle plummeted onward. That's when Rocky took off from the balcony and pulled a triple reverse, taking the football away, tripping Bullwinkle, who got only as far as the welcome mat, and scoring the deciding touchdown.
We won! Well, Boris, all I got was photo of flying squirrel.
You got off easy, Natasha. I bet another team. I got bad idea.
You mean good idea.
You know me, I don't got nothing good. Here is last-ditch plan.
That night, on the roof of Abominable Manor, Boris and Natasha burned the midnight oil. And when daylight finally dawned...
Well, how do you like it?
It's beautiful. What is it?
It's rocket ship. Moose will follow Squirrel anywhere, right?
It's plausible.
So, we get Squirrel inside Rocket, Moose follows, we send Rocket to Moon, no more Squirrel, no more Moose, no more failure.
Boris, you are Dracula of cartoon industry.
The day passed by, as days often will do, and that evening over dinner...
You know what day this is, Bullwinkle?
Guy Fawkes Day?
No, it's your last day inside Abominable Manor.
He ain't kidding.
When the clock strikes midnight, the lawyer will arrive with your £1,000,000 note. You'll be rich.
Not if Boris can help it.
Here is dessert, gentlemen. Nice hot soup.
A butler? Where did you come from?
And what's with soup for dessert? I usually get salad.
Fair enough. You get salad, Squirrel gets soup.
But that's no ordinary soup. It contains knockout drops.
Say, this is pretty good. How's your salad?
Well, the ptomaine lettuce is a trifle wilted. I said, how about that? He's asleep.
With the butler showing the way, Bullwinkle carried Rocky to the threshold of the rocket ship.
That's a very odd bedroom there.
His latest thing. Go ahead, take Squirrel inside.
And once inside, Boris quickly slammed the door.
The fools fell for it.
Quick, Boris. Pull lever and blast Rocket off. It's almost midnight.
Yes, the clock was just beginning to strike, and there, coming up the walk, was the crankcase lawyer.
Pull lever, darling. What you waiting for?
I got strange feeling something is going to happen.
Something did. The rocket door suddenly opened.
Sleep tight, Rock.
Hey, where you think you're going?
Well, I haven't finished my salad.
Now what?
Now this.
Will the rocket blast off? Don't miss. The scheme misfires, or you can plan it better than that.
Once upon a time, there lived a king who was so kind and so just that his subjects called him the Good King, which in those days was quite a title because all the rest of the kings were pretty horrid. Unfortunately, the kind, good king had a very horrid son. A horrid, mean, odious, loathsome, repulsive...
All right. You made your point.
And obnoxious.
You are a horrid boy.
One fine day, the king went off on a hunt.
I was just testing you, good, kind king, to see if what I heard was true. I just couldn't believe there could be a king that good. So as you've probably guessed...
I get 3 wishes.
No, we've had to cut down a little. You know, what with the inflation and everything. You get 1 wish.
Oh, but in every fairy story I've ever read, people get 3 wishes.
Listen, Daddy-O, I'm not going to stand here and bargain. If you don't want the 1 wish, there are plenty of
I'll take it. As you probably know, I have one of the nastiest kids in the kingdom. He is the most odious, loathsome, repulsive...
What's his name?
Darling, Prince Darling. What I'd like you to do is straighten him out. You know, the fairy godmother bit.
The good king was quite satisfied with his wish and soon afterward died a happy man, free of the guilty feeling that when he was gone, there would be nobody to run the business.
I'm your fairy godmother, you horrid boy. And your father's last wish was that I make something out of you. When you wear this ring, you'll know when you're bad, for you'll receive a prick on your finger. And my finger shall receive the same prick, for in that way, I shall know when you're bad.
Yow! Ooh!
If you keep up your horridness, I'm going to have the sorest finger in the kingdom.
Like I got the sorest finger in the kingdom.
Don't like the ring idea, eh? Well, your father's last wish was that I make something out of you. That's something.
Yeah, man, but what? This is the wildest thing I've ever seen. Oh, come on, fairy godmother. What kind of thing is that?
It is a horrid thing. You are a horrid kind of thing.
And so the horrid kind of thing went off into the forest.
George, there's an animal with the head of a lion, horns of a bull, feet of a wolf, and body of a snake.
There's a what?
Animal with the head of a lion, horns of a bull, feet of a wolf, and body of a snake.
What you saw was a rabbit. You just have an active imagination. You see, many times hunters mistake animals for all sorts of fantastic apparitions. Oops.
Any luck? We caught a big rabbit, didn't we, George? It is the heaviest rabbit I ever carried.
Langston, I got a confession to make. We ain't got no rabbit in that sack.
Then what is it, George?
Langston, what we got in that sack is a mean, odious, loathsome, repulsive, obnoxious, horrid kind of thing.
If it ain't a rabbit, then what are we carrying it for, George?
What we've got is the abominable snowman.
George.
And we'll sell him to the Royal Zoo and make a bundle.
George.
What is it?
The big rabbit is gone.
Prince Darling wandered aimlessly for many days in the forest, dodging hunters, until finally...
Look at you! You got a face like a lion, a body like a snake. When you move your wolf's feet, all you do is shake. I hate you, better than I hate myself. And that's the kind of ring-a-ding, lonesome, horrid kind of thing. Blues!
I'm Celia the shepherdess tending my flock, and I don't hate you. I really think you're a prince in disguise, and if I'm kind to you, you will change back to your former handsome self and carry me off to be your queen.
How's that again?
I wonder what the antidote is to this magic. Who cast the spell on you, lover?
Some fairy, for being a horrid person. But I've learned my lesson. It's straight spell from here on in. You and me, baby, the vine-covered castle. All you have to do, is find a way to change me back.
Well, have you tried the buttons down the front?
I am my old darling self again.
So Prince Darling and Celia were married. A double ring ceremony. Prince Darling and Celia were just as kind and just to their subjects as the good king had been before them. For you see, if they ever had a mean or horrid thought...
I knew that ring idea was a good one.
And here he is, the Dean of American Numbskulls, Mr. Know-It-All.
Our lecture today is entitled How to Own a Hi-Fi on a Low Income and IQ. First, you should choose a hi-fi cabinet to match your furniture. Early American, French provincial, or, like my own furniture, early junkyard. Next, we have a few of our components. This is the amplifier, which amplifies the sound. Here is the preamplifier, which, of course, amplifies the pre. and the turntable, which turns the tables. Over here we see the speakers, known to all of us hi-fi-matics as the tweeter and the woofer. Special care must be taken to feed the woofer lest he eat the tweeter. The next step is to plug it in. And the next step is to call the electrician. The hi-fi gives us lovely music, but did you know that you can tell time with it too?
Shutting that thing off is 2 a.m.
Thank you. Now I'd like to play some tapes for you. Must have put some scotch tape on by mistake. But here's my real favorite. Sing along with Lawrence Elk. A-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
I bring my favorite tape, Bullwinkle.
Be my guest. Put it on.
Is adhesive tape.
Well, thank you, Mr. Know-it-all.
Peabody here. Today, Sherman and I are going back to the year 64 A.D. to visit with one of history's most renowned violinists.
Jack Benny?
No, that would be 39 A.D., Sherman. Our illustrious fiddler was none other than the Emperor of Rome, Nero. We set the Wayback Controls, and before you could say Quo Vadis, we were standing on the steps of Nero's palace.
I smell smoke, Mr. Peabody.
Oh, that is a bad sign, Sherman, because according to history books, Nero is responsible for setting fire to Rome.
Idiots, what do you think you're doing?
We just put the fire out, Emperor.
You mean you just put the barbecue out? What's more, you've made my steak soggy. Out, get out!
We thought it was a fire, Mr. Nero.
Well, it wasn't. I can't stand fires, yet everyone blames them on me. Oh, dear, there's another one.
In the far corner, the Emperor's throne was raging out of control.
Quick! You get some water and I'll get my violin.
Sherman and I soon had the fire under control. As for Nero, do you always do that?
Do what?
Fiddle during a fire.
Oh, yes, that's quite a quirk with me. As soon as I smell smoke, I have to play. Would you like to hear Laura?
What does it all mean, Mr. Peabody?
Well, there has to be a motive behind these fires, Sherman. Now, who would stand to profit by them?
Goodwill?
No, I'd say Nero's violin teacher. As long as there are fires, Nero fiddles. And as long as he fiddles, he takes lessons, or should. We left the palace and headed for the only music teacher in town, a certain Oedipus Rex.
Is that the violin you're making for Nero, boss?
It is, and this one will guarantee a big fire.
How so?
You see the bow? Well, actually, it's a large match. All Nero has to do is strike it on the strings, and there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight. Now get out of sight. Here come two customers.
Mr. Oedipus Rex?
You wish the boy to take violin lessons?
No, sir. We came here to advise you to stop playing with fire.
Oh, then you know.
Everything. Unless you leave Rome and promise to give up arson, we'll turn you over to Nero.
I was about to do just that. In fact, behind this door are my overnight bags. I'm leaving Rome on the next train.
Of course, we didn't believe him and decided to look in the back room. There were no overnight bags.
True, but you'll never get out to tell anyone.
It was a trap.
Not only for us, for Oedipus Rex's henchmen as well.
He told me to duck out of sight, so I ducked in here. When that big fire starts, we'll be caught.
He told us of the diabolical violin, and I knew we had to return to the palace immediately. Here, play this fiddle, Sherman.
But I can't play, Mr. Peabody.
I know that. It was a fearful 5 minutes we spent chained to Sherman's concert, but it brought results. The citizens in the neighborhood also resented Sherman's music.
Get out of here!
Arriving at the palace, we discovered that Nero was about to give a concert.
For my first number, I should like to play a Jerry Mulligan arrangement.
If he strikes that bow, the palace will go up in flames.
I grabbed a pull cord on the curtain and flew across the stage. En route, I plucked the match bow from the unsuspecting soloist.
Good work, Mr. Peabody.
It was good, but unfortunately, Oedipus Rex was just as air-minded as I. He, too, flew across the stage, but he replaced the match bow, and before I could make a return flight, Nero had burst into song, and the fiddle burst into flame, and we had a disaster in the making.
I'm afraid it's curtains, Mr. Peabody.
Well, that gave me an idea. I examined the stage curtains, and there was the word I was looking for: asbestos. I merely pulled a knot, and the curtain descended on Nero's performance. As for Odd Puss Rex, this didn't stop him. He dashed about the building, giving everyone he saw a hot foot. Luckily, the last person he gave a hot foot to was the chief of police.
Thank you, Citizen Peabody, for saving the palace. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to start a barbecue in the middle of the city. And oh, this one is going to be big, big, big.
Rome was no place to be in at this moment. We decided to embark for home, but not before we took a unique little violin as a memento of our visit.
That's a funny-looking violin.
Funny-looking, but priceless. This was made by a man named Strada. As you can see, he made various types of instruments.
Is that why they call it a Stradivarius, Mr. Peabody?
That's why, Sherman.
While our adventure in England is rapidly approaching a dismal climax, Bullwinkle, you'll recall, had to spend 1 week inside Abominable Manor or forfeit £1 million note inheritance.
But Boris got other plans.
Yes, the dastardly villain built a do-it-himself rocket ship.
It looks nice, but what's it for?
It's for heroes. All we got do is lure Squirrel inside. Moose follows, we slam door, send boat to moon.
It looked like the plan couldn't fail. Thus, at dinner that evening...
Eat your soup, Rock, or it'll get hot.
Unfortunately, that soup contained an overdose of knockout drops. 2 sips later...
Poor Rock, he's all Tommy Tuckered out.
Following Boris's untimely suggestion, Bullwinkle carried Rocky upstairs into what he thought was a bedroom, but what was in reality the rocket ship.
Listen, strike is clocking 12. Lawyer is due here any episode. And soon as I pull lever, Moose and Squirrel are on their way to moon.
Pleasant dreams, Rock.
Boris, Moose is getting out.
No, he's getting in.
And just as we closed, Boris prepared to launch our boys skyward.
Here goes something.
What gives with rocket?
I don't know. It should blast off.
But it couldn't, not with Bullwinkle leaning against the brake.
Moose, would you please not lean against brake?
Yes, you spoiling plans.
I wasn't leaning against the brake.
Oh, yes, you are.
Oh, no, I'm not.
He's right, Boris.
What do you mean he's right? He's leaning against brake.
Too darn much noise in here.
With that, Bullwinkle picked up Rocky and exited the rocket. Naturally, with a brake release, the rocket took off.
He was not.
He was.
The front door opened just as the clock struck 12.
Those were the longest 12 chimes I ever heard.
Ah, the Earl of Crankcase.
Oh, what's going on, Bullwinkle?
Glad you woke up. It's the end of the story. You get the girl, I get the money.
There's just one thing. I must take one more look at your foot to check the Rue Britannia inscription.
Then I get the £1 million note, right?
Precisely.
You can imagine everyone's surprised to see that the inscription was no longer there.
Bullwinkle, it's gone.
Well, sure it's gone. It never lasts more than a week.
And Bullwinkle told them how, after he took a shower, he stepped onto his bath mat made by the Rue Britannia Bath Mat Company, Peoria, Illinois.
You mean the printing came off on your foot?
Yeah, cheap mats.
But this means you're not the Earl of Crankcase.
Yes, and it also means that we get the inheritance.
They did get it, and it was £1 million note, £1 million promissory note.
Good heavens. According to this, our dear uncle borrowed £1 million from the Bank of England.
Yes, and you chaps must pay it back.
What bitter irony. Filcher, Boucher, and Jay were forced to work in a local garage, draining, of all things, crankcases.
Cheer up, chaps. At £1 a week, we'll have it paid off in 1,000,000 weeks.
As for Boris and Natasha, they were last seen orbiting along the Milky Way.
I tell you, Moose was not leaning on brake.
You may be right.
Rocky and Bullwinkle booked passage on the first boat leaving for home.
Boy, am I glad that's over.
And you know something? I'd just rather be plain old me than all the earls in the world.
Sure was funny how that bath mat inscription fooled us.
Yeah, but what's funnier is the one on my other foot. That one never comes off. See?
Oh, no!
Be with us next time for further adventures of Rocky the Flying Squirrel.